Choosing your next graphics card, man, it's one of the toughest calls a PC builder can make, right? Today, we are putting the brand new next-gen RTX 5070 Ti against the reigning champ of 1440p, the RTX 4070 Super. This is the ultimate showdown, bleeding-edge power for the future versus incredible value right now. Let's figure out which one you should buy.
All right, let's do this. Welcome to the Bay.
You know, every single one of us builders faces this exact moment. Do you shell out the cash for the latest and greatest, paying that premium for technology that'll last for years? Or do you snag the card that gives you the absolute best bang for your buck today? That is the question we're answering, and hey, just so you know, all the benchmarks, all the data we're looking at today comes straight from the incredible deep dive over at bestgpusforgaming.com. They really did the homework on this one.
Okay, first things first. Let's talk about what matters most to gamers, raw performance. We're going to throw both of these cards into the ring at that 1440p sweet spot and just see which one comes out swinging.
And whoa, right out of the gate, we're looking at Cyberpunk 2077, one of the toughest games to run, with ray tracing cranked up to high. And the difference is pretty huge. The 5070 Ti is cruising at a super smooth 112 FPS, while the 4070 Super is at 92. That's a 20 FPS gap. You can absolutely feel that difference, and it really shows you the raw power of that new Blackwell architecture. And looking at this broader list of games, you can see Cyberpunk was not a fluke, not at all. From fast-paced shooters like Warzone to massive open worlds like Starfield, the 5070 Ti just consistently pulls ahead. If you've got a high refresh rate monitor, that extra performance is going to be a game changer.
So what's the bottom line here? When you average it all out across the big, demanding AAA games, you're looking at the 5070 Ti being about 15 to 25% faster. And that's not just a small step up, that is a serious generational leap in performance. And this really frames the decision perfectly, doesn't it? I mean, look, both cards are great for 1440p, but that extra horsepower on the 5070 Ti, that's your headroom. That's the difference between playing on high settings and cranking everything to ultra. And maybe more importantly, it's a much safer bet if you think you might upgrade to a 4K monitor sometime soon.
So, where does all that extra performance come from? It's not just magic, right? It all comes down to the tech. Let's pop the hood and see what's really going on inside these cards.
Okay, so on paper, the story is pretty clear. The 5070 Ti is the new kid on the block with that Blackwell architecture, faster GDDR7 memory, a really nice 16 gigs of VRAM, and of course, support for the next generation of DLSS. The 4070 Super is no slouch, but it's running on the previous Ada Lovelace architecture with 12 gigs of GDDR6X and the already awesome DLSS 3.
So what does all that tech speak actually mean for you? Well, that's 16 gigs of VRAM. That's huge for future games, especially if you're playing at 4K with high-res textures. The faster memory feeds the GPU quicker, and DLSS 4, well, that promises to be a massive leap in performance and quality. This card is built for what's coming next. But hold on, let's not count the 4070 Super out. Its strengths are all about being smart and efficient. It sips power at just 220 watts, which means it runs cooler, it's quieter, and you don't need a monster power supply for it. And DLSS 3 with frame generation is already here, it's mature, and it gives you a massive FPS boost in pretty much every big game out today. Okay, this all leads us to the part of the build that can make or break a decision, the budget. All the performance in the world doesn't matter if it's not at the right price, right?
And here's where the rubber meets the road. The 5070 Ti is going to set you back about $749, and it's going to pull about 300 watts from the wall. The 4070 Super, on the other hand, comes in at a much friendlier $599 and only needs 220 watts. That's a $150 difference right off the bat, and that's not even counting a potential PSU upgrade for the 5070 Ti. But here's the kicker. Raw price isn't the whole story. When you look at what really matters, performance per dollar, the 4070 Super actually pulls ahead. You're getting about 0.27 frames per second for every single dollar you spend. That is the metric that screams value.
So the takeaway here is actually pretty simple. If your goal is to get the best possible value for 1440p gaming right now, the 4070 Super is the smart, logical choice. The 5070 Ti, on the other hand, is more of a long-term investment. It's for the person who knows they're going to use that extra power down the road, whether it's for 4K or just to keep the card for years. Okay, we've covered performance, we've hit the tech, and we've talked about the price. Now let's tie it all together and figure out which of these GPUs is the perfect one to dock in your build.
Let's break it down real simple. If you're the 1440p value gamer, you want the 4070 Super, end of story. If you're the 4K upgrade planner and you see a new monitor in your future, that 16 gigs of VRAM and the 5070 Ti is calling your name. If you just want great ray tracing with DLSS today without breaking the bank, the 4070 Super is a fantastic choice. But if you are the long-term future-proof buyer, you want the newest architecture and you want it to last, that's the 5070 Ti.
Honestly, the team at bestgpusforgaming.com just nails it with this quote. It really boils down to this. Choose the 5070 Ti for 4K headroom and future-proofing. Choose the 4070 Super for the best price to performance at 1440p. It's that simple.
And that leaves us with one last thing for you to think about. What does future-proofing even mean to you? Is it about buying the most powerful, most expensive part you can today? Or is it about buying the smartest part and saving that extra money so you can upgrade again sooner? There's no wrong answer, but it's a choice every single one of us has to make.
For all the juicy benchmark charts and a way deeper analysis, you've got to check out the full article over at bestgpusforgaming.com. All right, that's all we've got for today. Keep it cool and keep building.